We now will have the opportunity to hear from Michael Gruenenberger, who is the Director of Collections at the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, another very important site of keeping our memory alive, so hopefully we can do things to change our future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, it's really a privilege to be here this afternoon representing the museum, and on behalf of our director, Sarah Bloomfield, who sends her regrets that she can't be here today, thank you very much for inviting us to participate. Congressman Lantos was really a great friend and supporter of the museum. He served on our council from 1990 through 1997, and again from 1999 until his death. In 1985, he sponsored the legislation that renamed the museum's 15th Street location, Raoul Wallenberg Place, after the Swedish diplomat who saved tens of thousands of Hungarian Jews from being deported to Auschwitz-Birkenau. In recognition of Wallenberg's heroic rescue operation, Congressman Lantos sponsored a bill to grant Wallenberg honorary American citizenship. Just as Raoul Wallenberg proved that one man could make a difference, so did Congressman Lantos in his persistent and determined advocacy on behalf of human rights. I feel especially privileged to have met him on a number of occasions. According to a recent Tel Aviv University study, the number of anti-Semitic incidents around the world more than doubled from 2008 to 2009. We know this at the museum very well. Anti-Semitism struck very close to home this past year when the museum lost a beloved security officer, Officer Stephen Johns, who was murdered by an anti-Semitic racist and neo-Nazi in a senseless act of violence. Officer Johns' courage, as well as the bravery of his fellow officers, prevented an even greater tragedy from happening that June morning. This tragic event really underscores the importance and urgency of our efforts to combat anti-Semitism and hatred. As the clips that we've just seen indicate, in recent years, militant Islamic groups with political power used language suggestive of genocide regarding the state of Israel. The president of Iran declared the Holocaust a myth and said Israel should be wiped off the map. In the museum's view, Holocaust denial, minimization, and distortion are examples of anti-Semitism as well. Of special concern to us is that Holocaust denial is now on the internet. And that's of special concern because of the ease and speed with which such misinformation can be disseminated. Without doubt, the internet is now the chief source of Holocaust denial and the chief means of recruiting for Holocaust denial organizations. In that connection, I'd like to share with you some of what the museum is doing to address anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial. Much of it is complementary to what MEMRI is doing. First of all, know that the museum's very existence, the exhibitions which contain original and authentic artifacts, its collections which include millions of documents, tens of thousands of photographs, more than 10,000 oral histories with survivors, as well as perpetrators and bystanders, its educational programs which reach tens of thousands of teachers, its programs for the military, for the police, for the judiciary, and its website, which has millions of visitors per year. All these activities, the collections, the exhibitions, the educational programs, and the website are, I like to think, a Holocaust denier's worst nightmare. That's because our collections are first and foremost evidence of a crime, the crime of genocide, the crime of the Holocaust. Currently, we're actively engaged in an effort to rescue the evidence. That is, to acquire additional documents, photographs, films, artifacts, other materials, including oral histories, that tell the story of the Holocaust while there is still time. After all, the survivor and liberator generations are disappearing and won't be able to tell their story in person. Our collections will have to speak for them when they are no longer here to speak for themselves. Our collections will tell their stories and will serve as powerful rejoinders to deniers and distorters of the Holocaust. Visitors to our museum will see and hear the testimonies of survivors, witnesses, and even perpetrators. They'll be able to come to the museum or visit the website and examine the evidence of the Holocaust for themselves. Like MEMRI, we're also involved in translation work, which we make available via the web, and which we see as critical if we are to reach a global audience. The museum's website is reaching important new audiences in countries such as Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan, areas typically underserved with information about the Holocaust. Our website offers content in more than a dozen languages, including Arabic, Farsi, Chinese, French, Russian, Turkish, and Urdu. Here are some numbers. In 2009, we had more than 533,000 visits to our Arabic translations, 345,000 to our Farsi material, 161,000 visits to our Urdu translations, and almost 350,000 visits to our Turkish language articles. In the Islamic world, our web translations have been consulted by individuals from Iran, Egypt, Turkey, Morocco, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. An attorney in Yemen, commenting on the museum's Arabic content, wrote us a note in Arabic which translated reads, "I was very shocked, especially by the personal stories that hurt my heart. I didn't realize that the Holocaust really happened. We had learned that this historical event, in quotes, is a lie, and that it never happened. We want to know the full truth." We at the museum really believe that these translation initiatives are especially important and have the potential to make a significant impact. It's also really important that the little-known story of what happened during the Holocaust years to the Jewish communities of North Africa be preserved and made available to scholars and the general public. To that end, in 2008, the museum signed a historic agreement with the National Library of the Kingdom of Morocco, the first agreement of its kind between a Holocaust museum and a public institution in an Arab country. The National Library has transferred microfilm copies of records relating to Moroccan Jews during World War II to the museum, where they've become part of our collection and are now available for consultation and study. We know that the Holocaust didn't just happen in the death camps. It didn't begin and end in Auschwitz. It took place in towns, in villages, in city squares, in streets, in open fields, and in forests. Of course, the primary responsibility for what happened rests with the perpetrators, but it could not have happened without the silent acquiescence of willing collaboration of ordinary people. The Nazis' helpers included civil servants, policemen, clergy, teachers, judges, doctors, professors, bystanders, and many, many others, too many to count. That's why Congressman Lantos would have understood very well a central message that the museum seeks to impart to all of its visitors, both in person and online. You can make a difference, and what you do matters. And of course, this message is particularly appropriate when describing the life and work of Congressman Tom Lantos. He stood up for those who were oppressed and persecuted, and he was an impassioned supporter of human rights. Clearly, Congressman Tom Lantos made a difference, and what he did truly mattered. Thank you again for inviting the museum to be part of this program.